You take over.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. कौन है? Gokul, Devanshu,
Mhm.
Gyan, Prasad, Deepunil, Kunal.
Mhm.
Okay, so already a lot of issues, questions, uh, con- condolences to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, mocks
I
are just
like what
practice
Delhi.
matches.
Jijo, I like what Delhi ka foodie is saying. Yeah, mocks are just practice matches where we should learn and improve. Completely in agreement. Okay, okay, okay. Let me just see YouTube में क्या हाल है.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Case. Kushagra, hi. You've got a lot many people getting in. So this is our first CDC, the Countdown Cat. Uh, you and I hope I think the first thing that you guys can share with us. Hi, Soumya. First thing that you can share with us is in general what you felt about this particular test. Good evening, Arpit. Ashu says good evening to you, GP. Jen, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I missed. There's so many people saying good evening that it's difficult to take all names. So I'll go with good evening, everyone. Yeah. Okay, VRC was tricky.
See,
Okay.
Aras is saying रवितेजा सर ने बनाया VRC आज.
सबको परेशान करने के लिए.
ऐसा ऐसा नहीं किया यार मैंने.
Chalo, so let me start with this slide here. This has got so mapped the CAT 2021 versus CDC 1 score. The total number of test takers, I think this is, I don't know, any more got added to this. Last I checked was 4,096. So starting
4192 minutes ago.
4192 would be the sort of the final figure. Okay. Uh, so starting with the overall score, it looks to be so. This, if I compare this to CAT 2021 GP and Ravi, at some level it is seems to be almost
Almost
pretty.
identical. It's only
Yeah.
at the 99.5 level it changes a bit. But till 99, it's almost the same.
I think it
And
is. As it appears, the issue was in DILR, as a lot of people are saying that DILR
no,
was
no,
minus.
DILR,
The,
Ravi,
the,
DILR is almost the same. No difference. I think
the
it's the verbal issue. 41, 41, verbal and quant. Quant
so if
at
you look at
99 level it varies. But by and large, I would say it's a verbal issue.
basically if you look at this particular paper, the quant scores are sort of slightly one question up.
Hmm,
Okay,
hmm.
and DLR is probably at par if you look at it
Yeah,
in most of the cases, and your the quant is
verbal.
sort of low,
Two,
and this
two
quant can be probably compared to the VRC scores can be probably closer to something like a 2022 story, but there was definitely challenge that happened in bubble. So given the fact that one came little down, another came little up, and one became same, eventually the score singles came. Yeah, GP
yeah.
and uh,
Yeah, actually,
well,
Jijo, I'm not surprised at all with VRC because VRC is a place where it is easy to attempt and it's only later you come to know you have attempted incorrectly. When it comes to DILR and quant, you are by and large clear, okay, can I solve it or can I not? And VRC is a place where the time wastage can happen a lot without realizing. In quant, you can realize, okay, I'm taking a lot of time. In VRC, what happens? You go back and forth between the question and the passage, and suddenly you find time has gone away. So VRC is a place where at the initial stages students will struggle, and as we keep taking the as they keep taking the mocks, they will find the CDCs. By I think mid-September, most of them will stabilize and they will know exactly what is to be done. So to me, this is along the expected lines. I don't see anything which is surprising as far as these three sections are concerned. Actually, I'm a little happy with the DILR scores. Frankly speaking, it is
finally.
finally, occasionally, I am happy that this is one of those days where I think people have chosen the right two sets to attempt. This paper had two sets to attempt, and one set was medium, one was light, and I would say two sets were medium to difficult, and one was medium to difficult purely because of the calculation, one was medium to difficult purely because of the understanding part, and there were cases which you had to understand. And QA, I think, at least I am hoping people have started to learn and have started to understand how to use Jugaad. At least that is what I'm hoping, but we'll come to know as we go through the session.
Okay. So to start with VRC and so let's look at the VR section, and here we also added the CAT 2021 as well as the 2020 score. So from 2021, it seems to be a huge decrease, but from 2020, this is like a one question less. So it is out of the last 3 years, definitely CDC one. Probably, if I look at the slot one, slot two, slot three of last year, the slot two was a difficult one, and it by and large was there. There are fundamentally, I believe there are two things that played a role here. I personally don't think the passages per se was troubling, in the sense that you have got passages this time around which did not have too much of complicated language, though you had to probably navigate the passage on that gender debate was one passage that you had to navigate a bit, and probably the passage on baptism ritual, probably another passage that you will navigate. But those passages you're comfortable with. I think there were two sort of by design, the two point of view which would have played a huge role here. And this, therefore, I believe that the CDC one, especially for those having struggled with VRC, is going to be a great learning moment. And I'm hoping that you will go and check the video solution. You'll learn. The couple of things that happened is, number one, if you look at the question distribution. So if I treat the global question, which are question which is like sort of tells you the big picture, main idea, uh, logical structure, sequence of word that best describe the argument, things like those. And let's say if I look at the fact-based questions, which are the fact-based question, and then you look at the inference questions. This paper had two from here, and the remaining 12 from inference. Right. So that was one issue. Second of all, in the inference question, had some core critical reasoning question. Well, the question is asking assumptions. Question is asking strengthen and offer agreement. So it actually some of these questions required you to synthesize data information from various parts, and this would have been one challenge. The second challenge in terms of how these options were created, in terms of the traps that were set in the options, and this is something that would have created problem. So when you look at the way in which this paper was designed, from a design perspective, one, from a passage point of view, the selection of passage was looked at based on the 2016 CAT. Now the 2016 CAT is not available, but we know the type of passages that came then. So this is I am Bangalore's passages. So in 2016, I think one of the passage was about loss of language. So a similar topic was given, obviously not the same passage. Another passage was about this excruciating for rituals, and a similar sort of things about ritual was given, obviously not the same one. And other passages were sort of current affairish, sort of recent development that has happened. So the couple of other passages were one on particle colliders, something that is very recent. That article was picked from article that happened in the month of July 4th article that was from nature.com. That was a source for that one. And the last one, which talks about gender, is also a very sort of topical sort of issue. But when it comes to type of questions and option, it was pinned to the slot number 2 of CAT 2021, and that would have been probably would have these two put together would have kind of made your life difficult. So if I look at the next one, which is your accuracy versus attempt, and for those of you who've taken the CDC for the first time you are seeing an analysis, let's quickly help you understand this graph. It's a very simple graph. This particular point here, or the area graph, talks about the percentage attempt, what percentage of the students attempted the question, and this column graph is a percentage accuracy. Out of those who attempted, how many of those got that question correct? So for example, this question number one, 86% attempted the question. Out of those 86%, 24% actually got the questions correct. So let me for a moment look at with respect to the passages first, and then I'll go to BA. When I look at so the things so if you see color codes, anything above sort of 50% would probably be easy to medium. 60% or more accuracy would mean that will be easy one, and then you have moderate, then you have difficult. I just put all the difficulties together, and but you can grade into 5 levels. uh, One thing that I've noticed is that the last passage, very few attempts. First of all, everybody kind of chose the first one, and the second favorite was the next one. Third favorite was the passage on ritual, and the fourth favorite was the one on gender. And one thing that you notice, for example, the first passage had one sort of was easy, one was medium, two was difficult. The second passage was some reason all the four questions were sort of troubling. Third passage had two questions which is medium, no easy ones, and two easy, uh, two easy, two medium, and nothing that is. The fourth passage has got one easy, one medium, and two difficult. One of the general challenge that you'll have with reading comprehension, and this is something that you will learn over time, is that you will never get to know. But the question is eventually going to be tough, because the reason why the question is tough is because how the options are framed, right? And here and this kind of passages wanted you to kind of navigate the questions. So I'm very confident that from this was the first CDC, right? This is our first CDC out of the 15. I think these four questions in this passage, I strongly encourage you to watch the video. I've explained this question. For example, this question number 4 is asking about assumptions, and the problem was probably a lack of understanding as to how to identify assumption. This particular question number 1 is a question about, it was probably a lot many of you made some silly mistakes here. And if I look at, let's say again, these question number for the 12, 13, 14, 15, all in inference based question. So did not, if you understood the basic idea of the passage, then you would have got it. So the only thing that I would want to say at this point in time is that you don't worry about the fact that this was challenging to you, but I think what is very important, there are a lot of things that we can learn from the passages. I have taken extra pain or care to explain lot many things when it comes to each of these passages, how to read it, few concept about critical reasoning I've done. So I think that you should go and do it. What, so if you actually count the number of questions overall, which is in the green, there are 7. And when you notice out of the 7, 3 were actually in the VA section. Okay. And what you notice in the VA, when you look at paragraph jumble, right? When you typically look at paragraph jumble, there is no negative marking. I still don't know why people don't attempt. You can just mark something, and then obviously there'll be many who will just mark it. So even this is, I will count as easy. 40% accuracy for that reason, because there is no negative marking, there is this. So in this case, you had probably about couple of paragraph jumble which was manageable. I think that people went about that. The first question about Thomas Aquinas, well, I think that you just looked at the answer choices, it was too long, you skipped it. But there were 2 here which was have handleable, but the odd sentence created some issue here. So if I were to look at 4 to 5 questions net correct from here, we just type the number of questions that you got correct from BA alone. Out of these 8 questions, just put a number there, or number of questions. Forget about negative marking. Just number of questions correct. I'm not asking you the marks. I'm very curious to know the number of questions that you got correct. Just put a number. I'll just wait for it. GP, once you get to know that, I want to find it. I think. Okay, you have got okay. I've got a lot many things. I've got 3s and I've got 8. Chandra Prakash is 8. Wonderful. That is okay. I've got 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 5, 4, 3. Lot of 5s, 4, 6, and 7, and 3. And not, I will be 10. Okay. I will be 10. So this is, so those of you, it was kind of possible to actually look at something like a 4 and 5, which I believe was the case. Now let's go back and look. Maybe let's say something like the 95th percentile, right? 30 question is net 10 questions correct, or 33 in this case is net 11 question correct. Okay, at the 95th percentile. The cutoff of usual IMs is say 6 question net correct is would have probably got the cutoff 80th percentile. So getting that VA 4 to 5 questions would be one thing, and your ability to navigate some of the difficult ones, but very confusing. We can leave out of this. You can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4 greens here. The total, what we can see is the total. There are sort of so let's say another, if I can take out another 5 questions net correct from here, which would have probably been a problem. 5 questions net correct here, we'll start saying this is the case. So one thing I would want people to know, that the VA is important. So this VA was manageable. There were some issues that you would have had. I think what you should do first now is two things. Okay, this is how what you should do. This is my advice. I'm seriously telling you what you should do. Okay, there are four things that you should do now. The number one that you want to do is redo all the question without looking at the solutions. Okay, first is redo all the questions. Redo every single passage. Take your time and then solve and look at the questions. Try and redo everything. So what you'll now understand is, okay, you will now realize some of the problem. The second thing that you want to do is watch the solution, video solution. So one that is created to me. Right? That's the second thing. Okay, so you'll pick up learning. Once you watch the video solution, go back once again to the questions and the passage. And just go through this one and reflect on what the passage was. You do these three things, especially those of you actually struggle with this. And then after coming out of this, you will pick up the tremendous amount of learning. uh, Learning, and then if you have obviously doubts or other things, you can check with your faculty members and stuff. But before you ask doubts to anyone, before you question the question, I think one typical thing that happens is you're trying to attack the question. How is it possible? Why not see? What nonsense? Okay, what kind of question is this? Don't be obsessed with the question and attack the question. So just follow this process before you make any valid judgment. So there are three things I would want you to do when it comes to VRC. So that is sort of my assessment. GP, huh?
Yeah.
Then-
One of the things that I think I would want all students to do is, especially those who have attempted the second passage, please go back and check how much time did you spend in this passage, and also the question which you have got wrong. My guess is, and which is what I see year after year, the question that you get wrong are the ones in which you have spent the maximum amount of time. All I'm trying to highlight is that if you have understood the passage, you will get the answer immediately. And if you have not understood the passage, even if you spend time, you are not going to get the answer. So when you look at the question and you are confused and you don't know the answer, don't waste too much time. If you get the, it just leave it and move on. Because what that will do is it will give you sufficient time for the others. You will not be under time pressure. If passage 2 was your second passage or the first passage or among the first two or three passages, I can be reasonably sure either you did not have time for the fourth passage or you did not have time for VRC, assuming you kept VRC for later. Okay, so
VA for
I
later.
think that, yeah, I'm sorry, Giro.
It's a VARC for later. I thought it was VA for later. No?
Yeah, sorry, VA
Oh,
for later. Yes,
okay.
okay. So please do check this out. Which are the questions which you got wrong and how much time did you spend? Obviously, in IC, question by question, it is difficult to say how much time, but look at the passage as a whole, and which is why I said the first thing is second passage, how much time did you spend? Look at your time analysis, and you'll suddenly realize that you have possibly spent disproportionately high amount of time to get a poor score. And I saw a few people asking, should I do verbal first, IC first? Your discretion. In fact, the purpose of these papers is one of the purpose of these papers is so that you can identify what works best for you. For some people, verbal first will work. For some people, IC first will work. For some people, alternating between V and IC will work. Okay, so work that out for yourself. The critical thing to me always is going to be: have you spent time in those questions which you have got wrong, and or rather, let me say, have you spent extra time in those questions? And most of the time, answer will be yes, and that is what you should be avoiding. So, Yash, when you say, should I try to do all four passages? First, check out, did you waste time somewhere? If you wasted time somewhere, obviously you'll not be able to do all four passages. Then trying all four passages is going to only increase your error. So all I want you to do is look at the amount of time wasted in this paper, in this particular section, especially in section number two, in passage two. Sorry.
Yeah. So when you look at all four passages are perfectly fine. The problem that happens is that, like what GP is just said, is that it is not that this passage is 500 words. It's not like ritual passage was very difficult to read the passage. Okay, read. It was not very difficult. Okay, it was slightly painful, but not very difficult. So there are 500. It was close to about 500 words. I think that even if let's say spend about 4 minutes reading the passage, which was then, then the question is during the four question. I'm sure that there'll be some question you would have spent 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you avoid those things, if you make those judgments, either you make a bet on it in the 1 minute, or just you decide that I'm going to chuck and move on. It is actually possible that you to look at the number of passages. Number of passages that is solved is irrelevant. Number of questions is what matters. right?
Yeah.
So I think that you should not go with the attitude that I'm going to solve two passages, I'm going to solve three passages. Then you'll fill the time in that. You're basically saying that I'm going to pick up. You can obviously start with whichever passage that you're comfortable with, right? Read a passage, you look at the topic, then you can, that is fine. But I think it's always better. So at this point in time, you don't need to find answers to those questions, number of passages. I think what is important, two things, is in understanding the behaviors that you want to change, and understanding the competence that you want to improve. There are only two things,
Yeah.
right? Certain
And
behaviors that you did in the,
yeah,
yeah,
and
that's the
what
thing.
Saksham has written, I think that is the issue. I feel I have read the passage, so I'm obliged to attempt all passages. To me, that doesn't make sense. I've read the passage, I know I can't answer, so I have to leave that question, because if I'm going to answer, I'm going to get a negative. So you are going to score low by attempting more questions. More is less is what many times you need to understand. Okay. So Saksham, don't be under an impression that you can that just because you have read the passage you have to necessarily answer all questions. If you look at that slide which you had showed about what's a good score, to get 30 marks or 10 questions correct, you don't need to do all 24 questions. Yeah. And 30 is how much? 95 percentile. Okay.
I think that
Yeah.
also aptly answers the question that a lot of people have: how to choose which passage to select first.
Bye. I think bye. So all of you have to have that basic understanding. There are two components. There are actually three components. There is a passage, there is a question, and there are these four options that is given. Right? I think we blame the passage for everything. So and then we end up reading the passage fast, because our assumption is the time taken is just passage, but time taken is also time for spending question number one plus question number two plus question number three plus question number four. In fact, not even that. Question stem plus option number one, option number two, option number three, option number four. You should look at this is your total time, and then you actually look at this passage is one component of it, and we end up reading the passage fast and then getting confused. So what makes a question difficult is the case. Sometimes you don't know how to navigate with the question. For example, the question says, which of the following, if false, will weaken or strengthen? I don't know how to navigate with this. And I'm sure that I can see, I've seen the attempt. I can see some of the questions, there is no way one person would have marked it. But I think that people did not read the question carefully. I think which of the following is not. I think something that would have missed. You would have made some silly mistakes. So yeah, so just look at the two things. This has been true for everything. What you have to ask after the mock test, you should be in a position to answer these two questions. Question number one: what behaviors I should change? And contrary to the similar question, what behaviors I should continue to use? My test taking behavior. What are the things? Number two, what are the competence that I need to build? What kind of knowledge based competence or skill based competence I need to build? So you have to get answer to these two questions. Once you get the answer to the question, work on those. And then as you move on, as you reach CDC 15 and then CDC 16 is going to be the cat, life will be good.
I think
So
this is
let's go to
one question that is recurring is how much time should one spend on VA
how
as a
much of its time I don't know. I can, as a ballpark number, I could say something like a 12 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm,
see,
I'm basically the eight question.
the way I would look at it is, out of 24 questions you have, 16 is RC, 8 is verbal. So theoretically, you should do one third, two third. If I look at purely the number of questions, but if I look at the amount of time which RC will take, will be slightly on the higher side. So to my mind, anything between 10 to 12 minutes should by and large be sufficient. Okay, but my basic issue is this is only a start. For some of you, VA, you will be able to do it in 8 to 10 minutes. For some of you, to be 12 to 14. So the purpose of these papers is for you to understand how to do these papers, to understand how much time you need for a particular question type. I can do a question type in 2 minutes does not mean you will do it in 2 minutes. You will do it in 1.5 minutes. You could do it in 1 minute. You could do it in 3 minutes. Each one of us works slightly in a different manner. So let us not try to standardize and generalize. Okay, this is not okay. None of us is a doctor, so we can't prescribe. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
prescription is not what we can give you. It is going to be your way of working, and you will discover that as you go along. And which is why it is extremely important that you take each and every CDC and you do a detailed analysis of at least the first 5 6 CDCs. Then you'll have complete clarity as to how you should be attempting a paper. Okay? But as a ballpark, you could say 10 to 12 minutes for verbal, 28 to 30 minutes for IC. And as you keep taking the papers, please keep modifying, and hopefully by the end of August, beginning September, you'll have some amount of clarity as to how much time you need for each part of this its section. In fact, this is something I think we need to look at. What Syed has said. While solving RC, I picked up passage two first, started reading fourth one, but in the middle of reading realized I'm not able to comprehend, so left it and solved the first one. Is it okay? Syed, if it has worked for you, it is fine. Secondly, please go through that passage again. And when you're analyzing the paper and you go through it again, you'll possibly, then that is when you'll be able to answer it for yourself whether you took the right call or not. Because to my mind, one of the most important aspects of analysis, also apart from identifying the behavior changes, did I leave the right questions? Did I attempt the right question or not? And that you will discover, Sayed, only when you are going to do this paper again. What Jijo said, those three things, na, please do that. You will know for yourself whether it was a good choice or not. Intuitively, I think it was a good choice. When I look at these all the reds and the fact that second passage has been the difficult one, I think intuitively you have taken the right call.
And I was actually very shocked to see this red personally. Okay, I was like, how is it? This is like, this is like, how does it happen? I was then questioning, was it a mistake in the question? Then I went and looked at the question once again. No, question is fine. Options are fine. So this is what it is. So eventually, ending one, redo all the question without looking at solutions. Number two, watch the video solution, and especially here, I've spent a lot of time in terms of how to read passages. So you're going to learn a lot of things. If you watch, I'm telling, I'm promising. And then go back to the same questions once again yourself and look at, okay, this is a learning point. List down the 3 4 things that you learned from it, from this particular model. List it down, put it on a piece of paper, and then carry on with your effort, identify certain things, and then move on.
And
DILR section. Sorry, one
Jijo,
more.
just one small thing with Aishat's question. While answering question, I was confident that my answers were correct. After result, like what went wrong? Aishat, this is very common with verbal. This is very common with verbal, and this is why you need to do the paper again. This is why you need to go through the video analysis again. This is why you need to do this analysis which we are talking about. Because English is a little bit subjective. You need to get it is not like mathematics, like where 2 + 2 is equal to 4. It is slightly different. So this is where you have to work a little and get down to understanding the right approach for yourself. So don't worry, this is very common, especially in the initial stages. But if you do a thorough analysis, you will be able to identify the issues and resolve them. Okay. So Jijo, let's go to DILR now.
Chalo. This is a story.
Hmm.
I think this is for the first time I'm seeing this.
Okay. So
So,
what I'm
fact,
happy is most people
in
seem
fact,
to
if you
have done about
compare it
8
with
questions correctly. Yeah, Ravi, sorry, over to you.
in fact, if you compare it with 2021, I think it is almost an exact match at higher levels as well.
I remember GP Ravi Teja is telling me, यार किसी ने 30 नहीं लेके आया. I think DLR was very tough this time. That was,
Yeah,
and Ravi is like,
I went
I
through
don't
the
know why.
scores
I
of the
don't.
students. I went through the scores of the students after the first two slots. मैं देखा यार 30 से ज़्यादा आ ही नहीं रहा लोगों का. ऐसे कैसे हो गया? But because my first impression of the mock was that the mock is not very difficult. There were two sets which were doable, absolutely, and one could have probably spent time on a third set also. So I was expecting students to score somewhere about getting somewhere about 12 to 13 questions correct.
Mhm. Hmm. Yeah.
This is a
Actually,
story. Sorry,
Ravi,
GP.
Ravi, yeah, fourth passage, fourth set of data is what I thought was fairly easy, and which was the yeah. I think actually second and fourth set of data is what I expected people to do. Yes, and to that extent, I think the Stones have not disappointed me for the change. Otherwise, I am always screaming, how could they miss out on the easier ones? The good
No,
thing
no,
is they have picked up the.
GP,
However, I'm still disappointed with the second set. Only about how many? 35%. Yeah.
35 नहीं है. Highest is this question has 30% attempt. This question has 20% attempt. So from
So I
sort of
will assume
30 to
about 30, about one third of the students have attempted this set. This, okay. Fourth set,
Jijo,
the percentage attempt is higher, but yes.
if you look at the second set, that is
Hmm.
the set very similar to CAT 2019 slot one. And on Thursday, I had recorded a video of that particular question, and I had put it on YouTube.
And actually, this is slightly easier than that set of cat papers. These are, I don't know if you remember the shooting set.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if your slot was the same one or the other one, but okay, shooting wala set tha ye. Okay. Kundan says GILR was really horrible, two sets. Yeah, but to me, it is the second and the fourth which were the ones. Third set is high on calculation. It will take you time. Okay. And the first set, again, as I said, there can be a confusion about how many cases would be there. Though, if you look at the questions, it clearly tells you that it is a solvable data set because the questions are theta and definite answers, which means multiple cases are unlikely to be there. Okay. Okay, so that is what the first data set should have told you.
What
Yeah, in
was
fact, in
sorry.
fact, I
Sorry.
expected people to solve the first data set because I felt that is easy. Particularly.
Cricket I करके, I'm sure.
क्रिकेट से कोई संबंध नहीं था. It was a numbers percentage based set था जीजो. It
नहीं,
was it.
जी जो एंड रवि उसमें जो सबसे बड़ा हिंट था ना 55.55% which is 5 by 9. If you remember your reciprocal, this set was a doable set. 42, the other one was which one? 57.14, which obviously is nothing,
57.14. Then there
which is
was a
4 by
61
7.
set.
There was a 3 by 5. The ratios were very, very comfortable. Okay.
But as we discussed, GP sir, I think it was only with, they're
Mhm.
thinking that there are multiple cases possible. Will there be a correct answer to this
Yes,
minimum,
yes.
maximum? That
Yeah,
could have
but
been.
Ravi, if you even if you look at multiple cases possible, if you start making 2 or 3 cases, you will find out. Secondly, out of those 4 questions, at least 2 questions were such in set number one, where you the choices were telling you what is to be done. At least two, except for the first question, I would say second, third, and fourth question of the first set were telling you the choices were telling you that there's only one case. Yeah.
At least here the greens are from the question which has got 6 questions. I think that would have helped a bit. I'm guessing. Hmm?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay. The issue still is that second set only 50, only about one third of the students have attempted that set. I think that is still an issue.
I think one of the things that I believe, GP, is that so I believe there are sort of two categories of students. One category of students are they can give any set, they can start thinking and working, and the
Hmm,
second
hmm.
one who will. So some sets are going to be difficult, some set is going to be easy. So I
Yeah.
believe that idea of trying to select, that is number one, and ability to be patient and not hurry and to be very systematic. And this just a simple processes is I personally believe is very important for DLR. This is
Very,
my
very
personal.
important. Gija, if you just go back to the previous slide, okay. Now, I want students to look at CAT 20 and 21 95 percentile. 24 marks, 25 marks. It is telling you do 8 questions correctly, you will be at 95. 2 sets of data with 4 questions or one set of 6 questions. In fact, last year, one of our students, I think I've said that earlier also, but I think it's still worth repeating. One of our students did only 4 questions in DILA. She got 81.58 percentile. She's in IM Indore now. Okay. Okay, so all I want you to understand is what Gija said, be patient. Spend time understanding the sets. Choose a set. Once you have chosen a set, give it time. You will end up doing 2 sets of data. The problem happens when you don't give it time, when you don't have patience and you are rushing through the data sets because you want to attempt 4 sets. Okay? That is not the way it should be done. If you go back, if you go to the next slide again, now if you look at the first set was very clearly about numbers, ratios, okay, reciprocals. And if that is not a strong point for you, that's a set which you should not be picking up. Second set of data, again, if you look at the data, it was about, in a way, numbers and arrangement, some kind of arrangement of numbers. Okay, yes, numbers were there, but there was arrangement also. And this was a data in which half the table was given, half the table you had to create. Okay, but there was sufficient data, and if you looked at the questions, the questions were telling you that this is a data set in which you will be able. Yeah, great, Gijo. If you can just go to the, yeah, just
This
go
one,
to the
no?
next one.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, that side. If you go to the next slide, Gijo, the next one where the questions are. Yeah, look at the
yeah.
questions. Which of the following is the sum of sales ratings of AB? Definite answers. Question C. What was the mentor rating of the employee with the lowest total rating? Definite answer. Okay. Question 2. Sum of ratings of D in the compulsory part. This is the place where you can say there's a less than 12 there. But by and large, it is telling you definite answers. This data set is telling you that you should be able to solve everything. Look at the next one also. Okay. Leave question 4. Go to the next two questions, Jijo. Which of the following employees can get an increased salary of 1.5 lakh in the new financial year? Again, you will be able to calculate this only if you have got the ratings clear. So this again is a definite answer. And question 6 is again a definite answer. 5 out of 6 are giving you definite answers. You will be able to complete the table. That is what you have to tell yourself. Theta means definite answer. The choices are very clear. There's nothing called none of these cannot be determined. Either A or B kind of questions are hardly there. So why are you rushing through it? Give yourself time. You will solve it correctly. Okay? So to me, this was the issue with this particular set more than anything else. Yes, Avi, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think this is one huge issue, GP sir, because whenever people call me up, students call me up and also talk to me, they say कि सर मैं 10 मिनट में एक सेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. I'm trying to do one set in 10 minutes or 12 minutes. Boss, sometimes it may end up, when you are looking at a 6 question set and you are looking at the questions that are definite, then even spending 15 minutes on that set is not a sin, because by spending 15 minutes to form that table and to get to those 18 marks, you're saying that in 15 minutes you've bagged 18 marks. It is not at all bad. It is greater than 40 marks. Proportionally, it is greater than 40 marks in 40 minutes. You'll be
No,
God.
no. Gio, sorry, Ravi. You have done one set of data, 6 questions correctly. You are at 85 to 90 percentile, depending upon the paper. You have
Absolutely.
cleared the sectional cutoff by a margin, and now you are in a position to get to a 95, 99 by doing a couple of more questions. So to me, that is what is important. Please don't try to do it in 10 minutes. Give yourself time. No issues at all. Unlike English, I will not say you should complete this section. English, I think, is the only section in CAT which you can, with a reasonable amount of accuracy, complete or do all the questions. Attempt at least go through all the questions. That would not happen in DILR. That is unlikely to happen in QA. So please be clear. Even last year's paper, when I look at it, last year's paper, if you look at 2 out of the 3 slots, are two easy sets of DI, one medium and one difficult. And if you did only the two easy slots, two easy sets of data, which you would have been at 24, 25 marks, depending upon the scaling, and you would have been 95. So this is not a speed game, is what I want you to understand. This is a game of patience. This is a
One
game of patience. So please give yourself time.
one thing is that I personally don't understand why are we giving time. The paper says that do it in 40 minutes. That itself is a pain. On top of it, we are creating another sort of time limit for ourselves. I will solve RC in 8 minutes. I will solve this one in 10 minutes. I will solve that in 5 minutes. I will solve this in 3 minutes. Why are we creating this pressure? Be mindful of the fact that you have to do stuff in 40 minutes. But that does not mean I have to hurry things. If I hurry, it is actually counterproductive because you're going to get into accidents. If you go very slow, then your car is a waste of time. You end up you consume a lot many fuel. But the thing is about it's about okay, stick to the process, right? I'm going to read. I cannot decide. I think other thing that happens, GP, my gut feeling, and I don't know how many of you would have had that this feeling. My gut feeling is that where is that set? That set is here.
Yes, before
This
this one.
set.
Yeah.
These people looked at this and went, "Oh, this looks dangerous. It is not looking nice." And I've seen lot many cases where people, if you have to decide on something, you have to commit little time and then decide. When
Yeah.
you're
And
committing, when you're reading a question, you have to go with the attitude, I want to answer that question. And keep your life simple. That's what I'll say.
just go to the
Jijo,
next
there
slide,
are
Gijo. Yeah, Ravi, just 1 minute. Yeah,
Uh,
if you look at it, yeah, the previous one.
mm. This one,
Yeah,
no?
yeah, this one. Five
Mm,
statements given to you. 5 statements are usually sufficient to complete a table. Okay, and so my point is, if there were only 2 or 3 statements, I would have said maybe there will be multiple cases, insufficient information. But when you have 5 to 7 statements, it is usually sufficient to complete the table. Okay, yeah, Ravi, back to you.
Yeah, and also half of the table is already given.
Yes,
Only half of the table was missing.
that's right. Okay.
So
If you
that
look
should
at the
not.
second line, previous one. Yeah, second line. The compulsory part consisted of self, peer, and a multi-appraisal. That is what you need to create. The optional part table is already given. So you have given, as Ravi says, half the table is given. Most of the places, and which is why I said the CAT data set was slightly more difficult, purely because it did not give you anything. Another, it gave you something, not the complete thing, but it gave you less than what is given out here.
That one had a larger application of numbers than this one had. A deeper application of numbers than this one had. This one
Yeah.
had very simple applications of numbers.
Both of you are sitting and making students feel, yeah, kya kar diya tum log. Everybody is going like
नहीं,
feeling
ये
so
ये
bad.
अगर मिस किया तो गाली पड़ना चाहिए. Because ये शक्ल देख के छोड़ दिया, which is what you said. I'm okay with
Huh.
people, though Ravi is not, but I'm okay people not attempting the first set, because if you're not comfortable with numbers, you're not comfortable with ratios, you don't know your reciprocals, you will struggle in that set. Okay, this one, yeah. Okay, and look at this set. When I was reading this set, I was saying, जीजो इस वाले में पहली, दूसरी, first statement is useless, third statement is useless, fourth statement is useless.
This is only like setting the rules of the game. It is not
Yeah,
giving any influences.
yeah, I would say third is not completely useless, it is somewhat useful. But when I was reading, I'm saying अभी तक कुछ मिला ही नहीं मुझे information. Okay, so this was painful to read also. But end of the day, what made sense was this 55.55%. This very clearly tells you 5 by 9. If you remember your reciprocal, this will give you very clearly what is to be done. 3 by 5, 4 by 7. 53.84 is something people will struggle a bit, but you'll find it very quickly. It is 7 by 13. Okay. Okay, so it is very, very obvious what is to be done. And if you go to the question, Jijo, okay, first is theta, total number, definite answer, but you could say there can be multiple cases. But if you look at question 2, question 2 and question 4, the choices are effectively telling you there's only one case you need to look at. Okay, so if you just start solving it, you realize there's only one case you need to look at for question 2 and question 4. Question 3, you may take a little time, but at least question 2 and question 4 should have been attempted in this particular data set.
I don't think lot many people understand the idea that I can still solve these 2 questions and move on. That is still fine.
Yes.
It is not necessary
So
that if I commit onto the.
hopefully
Absolutely.
my video solution is what people will be able to understand.
For the team to win, it doesn't require every batsman to score a century. Here. Matlab, Rahul Dravid once declared when Sachin was batting at 194, the team won. That is what matters. It doesn't really matter that you solve all the questions in the particular set.
Okay. This was the one which I would have expected students not to attempt. This is
Okay.
very clearly telling you calculation बहुत होगा इसमें.
Also with
Very
want to
clearly.
come. Also with quant to come after this is a set that I would also have not
And
chosen to
not only
select.
that, 4 questions. The last one has 6 questions. And now look at the number of statements this has. This has got
This looks very
some
cute.
7, 8 statements. Yeah, simple, short one-line statements, 8 statements given to you. You will by and large be able to input the data very, very comfortably. Okay. So to me, this was a set which was definitely doable.
Okay. So which means if somebody did not solve this, which is still GP percentage is 60 to 30%. I don't know
Yeah.
why people left the last 2 questions. Maybe because of
Last
time.
two were giving you a situation. So they were
Acha,
the
okay,
if
okay.
kind of question. So I'm okay. But I'm
Okay.
saying the first 4 you should definitely have got right. Not that last 2 were difficult. But the first 4
Oh,
you should have definitely got right. And the 6 employees, the the appraisal wala data set, again, to me it was about 8 to 10 attempts. Correct attempts was definitely on the cards as far as this paper was concerned. I saw someone saying that the DILR solutions are not there. It has been recorded, it has been shared. I think it is getting uploaded. Ravi, any idea?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, that's getting uploaded.
Hmm.
It's under editing right now.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, yeah,
The
देखो, and when a set says there are 6 employees and you are getting feared, please understand there may be sets that say कि boss there are 12 employees. उसको देख के डरो यार, 12 लोग का डेटा निकालना है तो 6 लोग के डेटा में क्या डर रहे हो, छोटा सेट है वो, कर लो, हो जाएगा.
QA,
I think
when I was the GP, okay, huh?
Just coming, Gijo. Give me a minute.
Oh, so sorry, I didn't GP.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ravi,
yeah,
so when I was creating this table, right, this data I was inputting, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 of I think 5, 6 of this many data were exactly the same as prime cat number 6. So this was sort of very similar to prime. So it was aligned to this cat. I think that's slightly easier as well. I think in some cases some of them are aligned to some test. So this is what the story is.
yep. I think it had a decent share of questions from all the topics. The only issue why some questions are not attempted thoroughly, or what comes across to me as a main issue over here is in CAT 2021 you saw one paper had 11 questions of arithmetic, one paper had 10 questions of arithmetic, and one paper had 9 questions of arithmetic, if I remember correctly. This particular paper had only 8 questions of arithmetic, but there was whatever arithmetic was fewer number of questions were there in arithmetic that was compensated for in algebra. So there were 6 questions of algebra in the paper. And what might have surprised the students by a large extent, to a large extent, is there were 4 questions which were numbers and purely logic based, right? And there was one modern math kind of question. So those 5 questions is what may have probably taken the students by a little bit of surprise. And as usual, there are 3 to 4 questions of geometry, 3 questions of geometry in the paper. So the problem that I can gauge, Jijo, without actually looking at the analysis, is that when I was recording the solutions, I figured out that out of the 8 questions of arithmetic, 3 of them I could qualify as easy questions, while 4 of them were in the medium zone. While one of them, because it is a little bit lengthy, question 50, it is only lengthy, it is not difficult as such, but I would still probably put it at difficult क्योंकि देखने में वो ऐसा डरावना है, right?
Ravi,
Yeah,
50% of the paper was Jugaad.
absolutely.
12
In
out
fact,
of 24 questions or 12 out of 22, sorry, rather. ठीक है, तुम एक दो हटा दो उसमें से 10 out of 22, 11 out of 20, you could do very simply.
absolutely. In fact, algebra, out of the 6 questions that were there in algebra, none of them were actually difficult. Difficult के बनेगा ही नहीं. There were clear
Right.
instructions given in the question, and 4 of them would fall in the easy category, and probably couple of them will probably fall in the medium category. Otherwise, the only difficulty people may have faced in this paper is there were a couple of questions of numbers जो हिले नहीं होंगे, because they were absolutely new kind of questions, right? Which, if they formed cases, they would have probably been able to solve. So I think that was the main issue with so many reds. Generally, we don't see so many reds in the paper, though we see a lot of oranges in the paper. This time around, we are seeing a lot of reds, and probably that is the issue.
A lot of people like come saying this lengthy. Was it this
See, couple
lengthy?
of
Was a
questions
lot
were
of
definitely lengthy, but
If you
I wouldn't say otherwise. Not too many questions were lengthy. See, it's a question of how you are solving it. Okay, and that is where your jugaad of calculation becomes important. Okay, for example, I find many times students have a habit of doing the complete calculation at every stage. To my mind, your job is to keep writing down the equation and do the calculation in the end, because what that will ensure, you'll be able to cancel out numbers. If you do the first step calculation, then you do the second step calculation, you will end up doing more calculation than what is required. Okay, so to me that could be one reason. The other is doing it the way you would solve questions in school and college, which means stepwise, not applying logic at all. What Ravi said, there were few questions which you could solve purely based on logic. I think that could be the second part. Okay. And I'm
So
sure
we
as we
needed.
go along, they will understand Jugaad. Some of the students, if I remember, Saksham had said he was able to apply good. I'm very happy. Hopefully, in the next few papers, other students will also start applying Jugaad methods.
So there is one thing that I have to say: applying a method, right? So it is a skill. So it will not happen immediately. No, GP, sir. If you remember my 2 by 2 matrix, GP is unconsciously competent with Jugaad. It is a second nature to him. So for us to we may not reach that level, but for us we can still work on it. So that requires you to look at when you do the analysis, see if there are any, if you can think about some better method. So force yourself to think about it. It may not happen every time, and then go watch the video solution, and then come back and solve it yourself, and then keep a note of these things. And next time when you're initially in the test, you try it. Sometimes it'll work, but definitely during the analysis you should try it. So if you don't try it, you cannot learn a skill by watching. You cannot watch some 15 videos of somebody cooking and say that I have become a cook. We'll have to burn our hands. We'll have to put and burn some dishes. Then only we're going to learn. So the learning, I think you may not be able to apply it in the actual test scenario in some cases, maybe first two CDC. But what is happening for post the test? When you are looking in the question and including the question that you got correct, it is important to at least ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question: can I do better? Is there anything else I can do? I've got 4 options. Did I miss something? At least ask those questions yourself. That's when skill development happens.
And Jijo, when people say that Jugaad is something which is out of the world, no, it is not. Uh, if there are 10 questions which you'll solve by Jugaad, 7 or 8 questions are standard Jugaad methods. It's only 2, maximum 3 questions which will require some kind of innovative thinking. Okay, but that also, if you start looking at them regularly, that becomes a standard practice. For example, Gio, can we go to the paper? Let's just have a
Sure.
quick look at the paper.
Also,
Sure.
Jijo, out of all the reds marked over here, question
Hmm.
52 and 53 certainly don't deserve to be in the red category.
That's
Yes,
okay.
52 does not.
Some people are taking offense. Yeah.
Can't help it.
Ravi is like, क्या है? How is it possible? What are you doing, guys?
मतलब 52 का तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है.
हाँ GP 45 कौन सा वाला नंबर?
Just go to the previous one. पहला वाला. इसमें
ये है
if
ना?
you just write down the factors, I'm leaving for the students. Write down the factors of 135 and 126, you'll get the answer.
कोई 2 फैक्टर होंगे जिनमें 12 का डिफरेंस होगा, कोई 2 फैक्टर
15
15
का
का डिफरेंस
15
होगा,
का
कोई
15
2
का डिफरेंस
फैक्टर होंगे
होगा.
जिनका 2 डिफरेंस होगा.
बस. This was the question. People will make an equation that 135 upon number of boys minus 126 upon number of girls should be equal to 2. Absolutely right mathematically. But at the end of the day, it is effectively saying the difference is an integer. If the difference is an integer, that means both of them should be the same decimals or both of them should be integers. Same decimal is difficult to get with these kind of numbers. Both of them have to be integers. So 135 upon x and 126 upon x plus 15. Just write down the factors, you'll get the answer. Okay.
And also we are talking about number of toffees, no GP? तो integer ही हो गया ना मतलब.
Number
इंटीजर
of
होगा सब
topics
कुछ सब
has
कुछ
to be.
इंटीजर ही है. हाँ, you're right.
But the
Because
average
this
number
was
of topics may not be integers, but
Okay.
fair enough,
Okay.
it will come out to be integers only.
difference integer है तो it is not going to happen that 2.836 minus 1.0.836 is not going to happen. It will be 2 minus 0 or 3 minus 1 or something like that. Okay. Now, is that a jugaad? To me, it is not a jugaad. It's a very normal thing. Some people might say it's a jugaad. But yes, write down factors of 135, 126, you'll get the answer. Okay.
Kishlay
Let's
is
go to the
saying that
next
he
one.
solved a quadratic equation for this.
In the jugaad solutions, I've said people will do quadratic. Okay, this is an easy question, and if you get confused with kgs, assume a value. For example, out here you should assume a value which is a multiple of 6 and 5. 30 rupees. Assume Surekha has 30 rupees and solve the question. Okay, 6 kg and 5 kg, so multiple and 6 and 5. Assume Surekha has 30 rupees, solve the question. Even otherwise, it's an easy question. But students do get confused. For them, this would be the right thing. I would want you to look at question 49. Yeah. Now, this question, I don't know what is the accuracy level of this question, but this
This
has
is
to be 100% accuracy. If it
कौन
is
सा
no,
question
anything
है?
this,
less than
this is
Quickly
in
we
the
50,
can
green
find.
zone. This
What is
is
the
in the
question
green.
of
49.
49? And to super
49 is in
green,
the
but
green.
people did not attempt.
Attempt.
See,
Only
25%
1/4
attempt.
attempt.
shit. Gino, let's do this question now. Okay.
Okay,
Just
let me
draw
go.
the x and y axis, the Cartesian, the
49 बोला ना आपने?
49 था.
अच्छा ठीक है. चलो.
आगे
सर
होगा.
उतना भी
हाँ.
करने की जरूरत नहीं है. 5 और 12 तो
नहीं
क्वेश्चन में ही दिख रहा था. तीसरा
नहीं
13
वो
होना
दिख
था.
रहा है
13
लेकिन फिर
ऑप्शन
भी
1
बता
में है.
देते हैं यार. देखो, if x is 0, y will be x is 0, y will be 5. 0, 5. And if y is 0, x will be 12 in the equation. You need to find the area of this stupid triangle. No, not the area of this triangle, sorry. Area of the circumcircle. Now, there's a right angle triangle. 5, 12, 13 is a right angle triangle. Hypotenuse will be 13. If it's a circumcircle of a right angle triangle, obviously it has to have a diameter of 13. Now, why do you not attempt such a question? If in doubt, draw the figure. Draw the figure. That's all you needed to do. Pi d square by 4 is what was required, and I'm shocked that only 1/4 of the students have attempted. This was a clear miss. Okay.
And the moment you figure out 13, there was only one option which could have been possible.
Because only
169.
one with 169. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay. Okay.
ये
We'll look
pi
at
by
the
4.
next one. Pi d square by 4. Okay.
अच्छा अच्छा.
This was a lengthy question.
Hmm.
But please go through the Jugaad solution which I've shared. If you are conscious of what is required and what is given, you will be able to do this question faster. Okay. If you're conscious of what is required is the share of R in the third month, the last line. How much did R get in the third month? That is what is required. What is given is average of Q in the 3 months. So instead of average, work on total. Multiply with 3, you get the total. Because the moment you say average, it means dividing by 3. So just you need to do is focus on average or rather total for Q for 3 months and find out us. The Jugaad solution has been given. Please go through it. There are a couple of more things out there which will help you in future in terms of your calculation. Okay. But that was a lengthy question. This question I want you to go through the previous one. Yeah, this is a very interesting question actually.
This
ये
is
तो इसको
52, Gio. This
इसको
is
गाली दिया ना
52.
तुमने. हाँ.
हाँ.
Now
राइट हैंड
52 में yeah जी yeah Ravi please.
तो इसमें ये है कि दो लेफ्ट हैंड साइड बोथ ऑफ देम आर मॉड्यूलर. दैट मींस राइट हैंड साइड इज पॉजिटिव
Or 0. That means
और
left hand
0.
side either both will be 0 or positive.
Correct. So if x is greater than or equal to 4 for sure, if right hand side is positive. If x is greater than or equal to 4, x minus 3 will open as it is. And x minus 3 और वहां x minus 4 है, तो right hand side will become minus 1 with a modulus on the left hand side.
No solutions.
No solution. There is a modulus on the left hand side that is remaining and the right hand side will become minus 1. Not possible.
Even if you put values, even if you put x equal to 4, x equal to 5, x equal to 6, x equal to 7, you will be able to figure out no solution is possible. Okay. Forget about that first modulus. X minus 3 will be 2. At x equal to 5, x minus 4 will be 1. So a positive number plus 2 cannot be equal to 1. You'll straight away get it. My basic issue is, did you spend time understanding the question or you just said modulus and moved away?
So what you're basically saying is that ये कुछ तो है. Okay.
Kuch to
Now if I put the value which is 4, so this cannot be
हाँ,
the value because this will become 0. Right.
this will become 0.
This,
Yeah.
this is already 1. This will become 0. If I put the value to be 5, x to be 5, this will be equal to 2, and that will be equal to 1. Not possible. If I put the value to be equal to 3, 6, this will be x minus 3 will be equal to 3. This will become 3. This will be minus 1. तो होगा ही नहीं. खत्म ही हो गया इधर.
हो गया, खत्म हो गया यार.
Modulus equal to minus
वैल्यू
1
डाल
आएगा.
के निकाल दो ना. Now वैल्यू डालना जुगाड़ है मेरे हिसाब से. वैल्यू डालना कॉमन सेंस है मेरे हिसाब से. So you need to decide. Okay. So this was definitely an easy question which people have missed.
हाँ ठीक है. Makes sense. थोड़ा लॉजिक यूज करना था बस. Okay.
आगे और कौन सा? Just go ahead. Next one. go to the
Trains.
next one. This was an easy one. I'm sure most people will have got it right. रवि इसका तुम बता दो यार बहुत अच्छा है ये solution. This का and this is where I would say this is actual jugaad. This is actual jugaad is what you need to understand.
So Jijo, in this question, they are saying that diameter is QR in the triangle
Uh,
PQR. So
Ravi, first draw the figure as most students would draw it.
right. So draw a
You just
triangle
draw a circle.
PQR.
Just draw a
I
circle
draw.
first.
Okay.
Draw the diameter,
Nice diameter. Okay, Drew.
any diameter, and draw a triangle such that it goes outside the circle. Based on the diameter, on the diameter, draw a triangle which goes outside the circle. Yeah, absolutely right. Now the diameter is QR, and the vertex is P.
Okay.
And the points where QR is cutting the circle are called T and SNT or whatever.
अच्छा, there are some shit. ये
हाँ,
वाला. हाँ.
वो
Okay.
P और
हाँ.
Q के बीच का पॉइंट
हाँ.
S है इंटरसेक्शन का और
हाँ.
ये T है.
T
हाँ.
है.
The question
Yes,
is what
this is
is
the way most people will draw the figure. Now, Ravi, you tell them how we do the figure.
see basically PQ is given as 24, PR is given as 18, and there is no condition given about the triangle. So because PQ and PR in the ratio 4:3, you can assume it to be a right angle triangle. Period. 4:3, the other side has to be 35. That is 5, right?
Okay.
Now QR becomes the diameter. If QR is the diameter, then the circle is the circumcircle of this triangle.
अच्छा.
And all of
Yeah.
points S, T, and P are the exact same point, then they will all coincide. Then the ratio is already given 4:3, 24:18. That had to be the answer.
Okay. So this is the question where I would say it's an actual jugaad, but what you need to remember is this is Pythagoras theorem. Pythagorean triplets is something you need to remember. And if no condition is given, you can always draw the figure which is convenient for you. Okay. So go through the jugaad solution. I've shared this also there. Okay. This just go to the next one. This is okay. Again, this is a question in which possibly people will make cubic, not even quadratic. Ravi, is it a cubic?
No. You will end up. You don't need to actually.
Okay, let me write down
You'll
the
end up with a
equation.
cubic equation. Correct. You'll end up
Jijo,
with
the
a cubic.
equation will, yeah, Jijo, just write down the equation 1 upon t plus 7. 1 upon t plus 7 plus 1 upon t plus 10. 1 upon 40.
40.
40. T.
1 upon T. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
1 upon 40. 4.
40.
1/4 of
Equal to
t
1
should
upon.
be equal to 1 upon t.
It's
This
quadratic.
is the
You'll end up
equation people need to solve. Okay. Now, if you're going to solve this stupid equation, it's a cubic. It will take time. Substitute value of t. Take any value of t and see if it satisfies or not, and accordingly change your answer. Okay, that is what I did. If this was
Okay.
if this was a MCQ, again in the jugaad solution, I've given you how I've done the question. If this was an MCQ, I would have taken a value from the choices and substituted. Since this was not an MCQ, I took t. For example, if I take t equal to 10, right hand side becomes 10%. 1 by t will be 10%. 1 by t will become 10%. 1 by 40 will become 2.5%. 1 by 40.
Yeah.
And 1 by 20 will become 5%. This will be 5%, Jijo.
Sir, correct.
And 1 by 17 is about how much? 6%. Again, let's say there is not telling answer cannot be 10, answer has to be less than 10. Take another value and substitute and check out. Okay, check the jugaad solution. But my point is, if you have to make a cubic and solve it, is going to take you time. Use substitution. Always remember, questions are created with simple numbers. Questions are always created with simple, easy to handle numbers. Okay.
In fact, sir, if you when we practice time and work, when we solve questions of time and work and understand that, most commonly we take 60 as the total number of units, and we come across 12 15 and 17, those 12, 15 and 20, those were the three numbers in the question. 1 by 12 plus 1 by 15 plus 1 by 20 would be equal to 1 by 5.
चलो ठीक है आगे. This one I think we can leave this one. There's a regular question. Just go to the next one. I hope people have got this right. Just draw the figure. You will be able to draw the figure to scale. Please draw the figure to scale. You will get the answer. I don't know how to solve this question. I just drew the figure to scale and go and got the answer. Okay. Yeah. Next one. This is what I'm sure would have taken some amount of time. This also would be some amount of time consuming question. Next one, Jijo. This is where students will waste time, this kind of a question, by making equations. This is an oral question. This is an oral question for all practical purposes. The tank can be filled in 8 hours. If it is getting filled in 20 hours, that means that it is getting, if the capacity of the tank is X, then in 20 hours you will fill 2.5X. In 8 hours X, in 20 hours 2.5X. What is the extra amount? Extra amount is the water which has been drained out. This was almost an oral question, and please get used to doing question orally and on logic rather than on making equations. Again, Pythagoras आ गया अपना 3:4:5. Okay. 65, no, not 65, 66, Jijo. The last one. Anyone who's not got this question right should be beaten with a stick.
Let's find out how many are there. 75% GP. मतलब 4,000 लोग लिखे थे.
होनी चाहिए.
3,000 है. 3,000 है.
हाँ. That was the easiest question of this paper. Whether you look at QA, DI, LR, verbal, through the paper, this was the easiest question. Take any value. What is this? You need to do A plus B into C plus D plus C. Isn't it?
Such that they add up to 18.
So if you take C plus D plus E equal to 1, C1, D1, E1. So
Okay,
A plus
3.
B has to be 15.
15 because all of things is 18. Okay.
Yeah. So what will be the product? 45. My answer should have 45. How can you not attempt such a question is my question.
I'll tell you why. GP. People don't like this sign. Okay. These some people don't like these signs.
Also, possibly this was the last question, and hence people were not able to reach this one. Because they kept on wasting time in the other questions.
Probably.
Okay. But dekho, don't feel bad if you have missed out on these questions. It will be a problem if you keep missing such questions. It will be a problem if you keep missing such questions. Okay. So please go through the Jugaad solution. The video has been created. I hope it has got uploaded or it will get uploaded soon. Ravi, they're asking where can we find the Jugaad solutions?
So you will find that under the video solution section itself.
चलो एक एक करके प्लान देते हैं. हाँ जीपी रवि प्लान देते हैं बच्चों को. ओके
बिल्कुल.
पोस्ट टेस्ट ये वाला टेस्ट मतलब we will have to nichodify as much as learning as possible from this test. Then we'll think future. VRC I told you step number 1 you will redo all questions. Okay, after crying all that emoji that you spend. Okay, after everything just redo all the questions. When you're reading a question, don't blame yourself. Just redo all the questions. Take your time and do. Post which, I'm still not looking at this solution, explanation. Post which number 2 is watch Jijo's explanations, video explanation. In 1.x speed, if you want to watch, you watch it. But you're not skipping it. Okay. And then you list down, you could even pause. I think I've done the passage by passage. You could do, let's say, overview first, go to passage number 1. You could even watch it, finish it, and then the next step that you would want to do, re-look at the original, at the question again, and
जीजो
then
यहाँ पे
that.
एक क्वेश्चन है,
Uh,
should I redo the ones that I got right to?
yeah. But redo
सब कुछ
matlab you
करना
can
है.
check it. You can check it. Redo matlab you have to just look at it. Matlab, just say that I'm not suggesting that you should redo like anything, but I say look at. No, I'm sure that if you are sorted, if you're already getting, let's say, some score like 53, then you don't have to do all this. You're also there. Then you don't need Jijo. You are better
And
than me. Okay. So, but if
and
you're
in
like struggling
redoing,
at, uh,
we do we keep a time limit as well?
don't keep it. Why are you keeping a time anyways? Don't keep it a time. Just do it. No, aram se. So don't put any pressure on yourself. No, I think the timer, we keep unnecessary pressure on ourselves. I have to finish the pass in 8 minutes. I have to finish the pass in 7 minutes. I have to finish the pass in 9 minutes. Don't do all that. And the towards end, you have to list down learnings. Now, and next time, if anyone who will ask any question to me about anything on VRC, first I will say, have you done this? Then I will talk to you. Clear? VRC. DLR, GP, Ravi, क्या क्या करना है? Task.
Going to be something similar. पहला
Same
काम
thing.
है solve all the 4 sets again. Okay, especially the ones which you did not solve, could not solve, or missed, or whatever. Okay, if you are not able to solve, go to the solution. The video solutions are there for all sets. After you have solved all the 4 sets, ask yourself which are the easy ones for you, medium ones for you, and the difficult ones for you. Classify them as E or M or D. And then ask yourself, how could you have identified them to be easy, medium, or difficult without solving the set? Because now you have solved, you know what is easy about it, what is medium, what is difficult. Okay, so now you ask yourself, okay, how could I buy? Where was the hint? What was the impact of those reciprocals which were given, etc., etc. Okay, so that in future you should be able to pick out the right sets to attempt. Okay. Secondly, after this, make sure you revise the medium and maybe the difficult ones also on a regular basis. Okay. Yeah.
That's for future. Okay, done.
Yes. This is what I would want you to do for DILA.
One,
Ravi,
one
QA.
sincere request. One sincere request is that you don't watch the solution without trying to solve it again. At least try to
Absolutely.
solve it. If you are not able to figure it out, then watch the video solution. Please understand, at this point in time, I think it is very very essential when you are looking at a particular type of question. You identify what would be the best type in which I can represent data in this question. When you're reading the data points, you make notes somewhere, you represent data somewhere, right? If you represent that data in a proper manner, अगर वो rough work की तरह नहीं है, if it is fair work, then सब कुछ आंखों के सामने दिख रहा होगा. Then you will be able to, assimilate data better. Then you will be able to figure out the answers better, right? So
Ah,
just
Ravi,
focus on presentation as well at this point.
so Ravi, I
Ravi,
have
there's
seen
a
some of.
question from Vidhi.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. In DILR, I cannot even start. Vidhi, you will have to start. Try it yourself. नहीं होता है कोई बात नहीं. Then go to the video solution. Okay. Even if you have solved it yourself, even then go to the video solution, because you will probably get a different take on the same set of data. Okay. So you have to start doing it. As I always say, you can't learn swimming without jumping in the water. You cannot read a book and learn swimming. You will have to jump in the water, and the first time you jump, you will also probably struggle a bit, but you will get through. Don't worry.
देखो
There
बॉस,
are.
I I find alternate ways to solve questions. GP sir finds alternate ways to solve questions, but it doesn't mean that he cannot learn or I cannot learn. We will still call up each other and see, check और कौन से क्वेश्चन में एडिशनल कुछ जुगाड़ कर किया जा सकता था. That's how it has to be, right? Even if you are able to solve a question, when you go through a jugaad solution, you will be able to understand, okay, there are other ways to do it also. Then it is then that you will be able to incorporate it when you are solving it
The
the next time.
Ravi, the way I look at it is very simple. ऐसा कि सोचना क्यों है? Will I learn something? Will there be something? Stick to. I think what is convert your life into set of tasks that you have to do every day. Life is about doing boring work really well. That's when people make real money. Everybody says that passion for the time pass. You have to do boring work. This is boring work. You have to do it. So there are if let's say if I one thing that I would want to do, I just I think a couple of days ago I created a video on 4 phases of learning. वो एक बार देख लो. Vidhi, you'll definitely watch that video. Number 2 is that don't second guess. You trust GP, you trust Ravi, you trust me. You trust as your mentor. Type yes if you trust, or type no if you don't. You trust as a mentor. You trust our wisdom. You trust us not because we make tall claims, but you trust us because we keep it real. Right. And then if you have sort of that trust in the system that is provided to you, I think that why are you thinking too much? You have to do the process. Sometimes, yeah, you did not learn anything from the video. What is that? It doesn't matter. There is always something that you pick up. Always. I think it is impossible that you did not watch the 2 hours or on something, 1 hour something that you did not pick up anything. So keep this a process. GPQA है क्या? GP चला गया?
है
यहीं पे
Because
QA again
this
same rule is the same, Jijo. Solve the paper all over again. Okay. First of all, secondly, in each of the questions, unlike DIL or verbal where you have get time in chunks, which means one set how much did I spend. Here you know how much time you have spent in each question. Okay. So look at the question where you have wasted time. Ask yourself, were they worth attempting or they were questions you should have left. Okay. Any question, I will start by saying any question which you have spent more than let's say 3 minutes and left it, it's definitely a waste of time. Or even if you have got it right, okay. But you take a call for yourself. Ask yourself, was it a question worth attempting or you should have left it. Secondly, please remember, as I've said in the in the video of how to analyze the QA section, if you have spent time on the question and left it, okay, after spending time, it is an attempt. So your attempt is number of questions for whom you have marked the answer plus the number of questions on which you have spent a minute and a half or so and then left the question without marking an answer. Okay. So ask yourself, which are the questions you should not have attempted because there was no scope or no chance of you getting it right, or it would have taken you excessive amount of time. Try to identify a pattern within them. Okay. That is your learning. Which are the questions I should not be attempting? Next, go through the Jugaad solutions video and the solution which have been given by Ravi. Some of them might be the same because when Ravi does it, he does not ask me. When I do it, I don't ask Ravi. Some of them will be the same. For example, that triangle in a circle question, incidentally, both of us did the same thing. Okay. Okay. So go through the Jugaad solution as well as the solution by video solution. And maybe you go at a speed of 1.5 or 2x, but definitely go through the ones, especially the ones where you are unable to find the Jugaad, or you think you have taken too much time, or you found it difficult. Those questions you definitely need to go through them. Okay.
Right. Essentially, in QA, it is very, very important that you redo the questions that you got right also, because there will always be a learning opportunity in QA. There will always be probably a second way or a method in which you can solve. There is chance that you reduce the time taken per question in QA by doing that, redoing that question. So whatever you have got right, please make sure that you also do it again when you're doing the analysis of this.
And the Jugaad solutions are there for a few of the prime mocks also. Not all of them. They'll be there for all CDCs, but I'll try to do them for prime mocks also as we go along. Okay. Jijo, but there's one question from Debyajyoti. Both Jijo and Ravi need to probably answer this one.
चलो ये क्वेश्चन क्या?
My syllabus
So
is around
my
60% complete. So should I start giving mocks like today's CDC? I got 72 percentile, or should I complete my syllabus first or continue with class?
See, if
so
you complete your
Dibyajyoti,
syllabus 100%, you should get 120 percentile, first of all, if there is any correlation about that. Right? Don't be bothered about your percentile at this point in time, Divyajyoti. Please understand that there is no syllabus to get. However, while you're covering the concepts, make sure that you are covering, you're not selective while covering the concepts. You do, in a paper, if suddenly 4, 5 questions of geometry appear and lesser number of questions of arithmetic appear, and while you were preparing, you were selective of कि मैं arithmetic ही करूँगा and I will not probably practice geometry, that is where you will end up losing, unfortunately. So please make sure that when you are preparing, prepare for all of the areas equally, and when solving the paper, you can take that choice, you can make that choice of whether or not to attempt this particular question depending on whether it is your area of expertise or type of question that you have done. About your question about whether or not you should take mocks, you are already 3 months late, Divyajyoti. Because I know majority of the people who are commenting in this chat box are people who have started taking mocks in the month of April. Today is what? July 15th, July khatam ho gaya, right? So don't be bothered about whether or not you have finished your syllabus to take mocks, because when you take mocks is where you realize what is your frame of mind in those 2 hours time, right? And what mindset changes probably you may require to make as well. Jijo.
Yeah, nothing more to add. You're done. Said it.
Jijo, I think
So
one important question was, are prime cats easier than countdown cats?
Nah, nah, nah.
Please understand, countdown cats and prime cats are exactly the same type of mocks. The same effort goes into making these mocks live. The same effort goes into recording the solutions and doing the analysis. It's only that countdown cats में क्योंकि हम लोग डंडा मार के ये बोल रहे हैं कि ये 6 slots में ही आपको लिखना है. That is why so many people are taking this. Otherwise, if I had opened countdown cats for like 10 days, no one would take it, right? It is our countdown cat is an effort to make you people disciplined, to make you people adhere to those timings in which cat is conducted, so that your body gets used to being having a presence of mind in that in those time slots, right?
also, Ravi, there's one huge advantage when you do the paper in 2 days. Saturday, Sunday, you do the paper. Sunday evening, we can do the analysis. If we give you a 1 week or 10 days to do the paper, if you take the paper in the earlier days, initial days, you would have forgotten when the analysis happens. So the prime mocks are to be taken when you have time. When you have, ideally, I would say even those should be taken as a schedule. But in the worst case, you are not able to take it, not an issue. But as far as countdown cats are concerned, you have to take as per the schedule, or you get the paper only in October, November. Okay. So this will instill discipline. This will ensure you are focused towards your paper preparation, and week by week you will be able to see improvement for yourself.
Also, there was a question about star batch, Jijo. Would you want to talk about that?
So before that, I would a lot of questions that I can hear in the chat box is
Yeah.
about your specific problem. I can't do this. What to do? I can't do this. What to do? I think what is absolutely important for you to understand, these are all symptoms. All of you are writing symptoms, right? अपने को problem जानना है. So since this was a paper that happened today morning, and you did not get any time for analysis, what my sincere suggestion is, try and not answer any of these questions that you have before you do the process that you can see on the screen. This is number one. Number two, let's talk about a star batch. Let me define what that is. I know that a lot of you who are putting in a lot of effort, taking and struggling and but hanging in there, right? Irrespective of whatever is your mock score is, irrespective of the mock score, if someone is putting in effort, which is defined by or perceived by you, whether are you taking mock test or not, or which means if someone is taking the mock test regularly, I will look at three CDCs. Okay, if you are taking only three CDCs, I will look at the three CDCs or maybe fourth. I will not tell you, and some of the prime mocks, and based on that, I will look at how many students are sincere, and I will get all the students into one group, and you will see me, GP, and Ravi in that group, and we will do some mentoring, helping. May not be one on one, but as collectively as a community, we will get together of a community of people who are very serious, helping each other and helping one another, and also from our input we'll do sessions and we'll do stuff. That's a group which will likely happen. So you continue this, we'll do that somewhere in August. So it's like a last 1 to 2 months push, right? Something like that help you in the last phase of the journey. That's a that's that's a story.
So it's not really about the scores you get. It is not that I probably we will only handhold people who are getting 100 marks in the marks. Those people don't even require our help, right? It is for the people who are showing effort, for the people who are sincere and on time they are taking the marks, and giving that timely effort. It is those people that we get motivated to help. एनालिसिस ऑफ काउंटडाउन कैट तो लगा रहेगा यार वहीं पे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए. And there is
Ravi,
also one more. Yeah.
yeah, one question. for you. India ILR, done all the ones which are difficult and got all of them right. What should be done? Celebrate,
Be
Kamal.
happy. So there's no problem. ऐसा नहीं है कि you have to answer all the question that GP says easy or
Yeah.
I say is easy. So long as
For
what is working for it.
for example, GP sir and I disagree on the fact that I feel the first set was the easiest. GP sir felt that the last set was the easiest. So okay, what is difficult for me may be easy for you. What is easy for me may be difficult for you.
Kamal, what you need to do is attempt the other two sets. If you find them easier, then maybe you need to in future see if you can do those first. If you find them to be more difficult than the one which you have done, then what this means is you have chosen the right sets to attempt. That's all. So the idea is to improve from whatever you have done, based on just to verify what you have done is correct, and if not, then how to do it the better next time. That's all. But good that you have done two sets and got both of them completely right. That's very, very good.
Star Batch is not only for full course students of CL. Star Batch is open for anyone. Star Group is open for anyone who is
Ah,
taking our mocks literally.
I'm agnostic. Okay. I'm to agnostic. I have nothing. I don't care. So your skin color, where you're from, what you do, nothing. What course you join, only thing is you have to be a CL student. But that is number. You have to take CL mocks. Let me put it that way. You can be a class student, SCD student, only mocks. I just don't care. What I care is that we need to be come together as at a place. We want to create a place of only serious kids, and definition of maybe fighters. All fighters. What definition is they are the one who are listening to our advice. We've been screaming and shouting, take mock tests, and people are not taking mock tests. And then the same people come and ask us again, sir, what to do? What should we say? So after me telling an advice, you don't follow the advice, then why are you coming me and asking the advice once again? So I would want to be the people, group of people who takes our advice, which advice is taking the mock test and get them together. And criteria is that, and then we'll figure out. There are a lot many B schools. Yesterday, some NIRF ranking happened. A lot of B schools are there on top. There are at every percentile, you'll get some good schools. So we will want to be with you in the entire process and help you. That's all. Also.
Yeah. And one question which is coming: how to analyze, how to revise. Please go through three videos that Gijo and I have uploaded. The first one is how to analyze the paper as a whole. The next one we have gone in depth into VRC. Next we have done in depth into quantitative aptitude. Tomorrow we'll be uploading a video on how to analyze the DILR section. Now these four videos, if you go through them, you'll know exactly what is to be done. How do you go about analyzing a paper, and what are the learnings you take so that you improve in the subsequent papers.
By the way, you are watching this session on YouTube. पहले तो ये वीडियो को लाइक करो, उसके बाद जाके हमारा चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो, तो तुमको पता चलेगा ना कौन सा वीडियो आ रहा है एनालिसिस का, right? These do,
ये
right?
तो
We are
बनता
putting
है,
a lot
बिल्कुल
of
बनता है.
effort. We expect some reciprocation from your side.
ठीक है. So I guess it's 9 p.m. I guess we'll close the session, and the couple of more things before we close. Jijo, just 1 minute. Bye bye. 1 minute. Baad.
Sure.
We'll be doing an All India Open Mock on 7th of August, 6th and 7th August, along the lines of CDC. CAT notification will come on 31st July. Along with that, we'll know whether you have a 2-hour paper, 3-hour paper, what kind of paper. Exactly like that, we'll be creating a paper for 6th, 7th August. On 14th, 15th August, we have raised to 99. We'll have the quant, the DILR, the English sessions. So please keep your 14th, 15th August free for yourself. सब कुछ छुट्टी वुट्टी कहीं जा रहे हो तो बंद कर दो, घर बैठ के तुम्हें खाली ये दो से करना है. Those 2 days, all students who are enrolled with CL, almost all students are getting it for free. Outsiders will have to pay a significant amount, but as a CL career launcher student, whether a test series or a classroom or an online student, you will get it for free. So 7th August, 15th, 14th, 15th August, critical dates for you. अभी से mark कर लो ताकि उसके लिए you are available. Okay. चलो फिर. If there's nothing else, Ravi, we'll close the session.
Yeah.
Sure.
चलो. Okay.
And
Bye. All the best.
and daily dose exercises will be updated from 25th of July. You will get daily exercises of quant, DILR, and VRC in that. Okay. The entire plan will be shared with you by Monday. It will be, मतलब वो दिख रहा होगा आपको आपके aspiration पे. By Wednesday it will be entirely there.
Public पूछ रहा है where to find जुगाड़ video sir.
रवि एक बार चेक कर लो यार, वहीं पे होने चाहिए। इवन पुराने, एक काम करो रवि, एक
So
एक सेक्शन
basically,
ही बना दो जुगाड़ वीडियोस का।
हाँ ठीक है।
एक सेक्शन बना दो जुगाड़ वीडियोस का। By the way,
हम्म,
some of the DILR sets also I've done by jugaad methods. In this paper, today's paper, I did not find any set which could be done by jugaad, so I have not done it. Yes,
ठीक
Niharika, this is for test students also.
और टेस्ट सीरीज
Dice
स्टूडेंट
roll,
क्लास
no
में क्या
one
है,
is
स्टूडेंट्स
dumb.
क्या है? सब हमारा
है।
बच्चा है.
CL
फॉर थ्री ऑफ अस,
हाँ,
ऑल ऑफ यू आर स्टूडेंट्स. वी हैव नो, वी आर एग्नोस्टिक.
yeah,
थ्री ऑफ अस आर एग्नोस्टिक.
भाई तुम CL स्टूडेंट है, तुमको रैंक आएगा
हाँ.
तो मैं क्लेम करेगा।
करूंगा.
ठीक है। So निकलते
So,
निकलते, as Ravi said, like, subscribe, please do so that you don't miss out on the notification and you are always updated with whatever we are doing. Okay? Yes, Prabhat, you
चलो.
can join VRC 1000 now.
Yeah, please,
Okay.
please, please come. Anyone has any problem, I'll be more than happy. I'll take care. For VRC 1000, please do it.
Dice roll, last question. Dice roll, you are not dumb, no one is dumb. It is just you don't have exposure, you have not put in sufficient amount of effort, that's all. Okay. If you are looking for dumb people, I am probably the dumbest based on my school academic record, but we'll discuss that some other time. Okay. Chalo, good night, all the best.
Bye.